Hello everyone, we're going to start our very first lecture. This is going to be section 1.1, angles and their measures. I'm going to write down 1.1, angles and their measures. Let's refresh a little bit our knowledge about angles. What are angles? Well, first, angles are made out of half lines, which are called also rays. Half line is like you draw a line, but you just make a point somewhere in the middle of this line. I'm not drawing the second part. And this is going to be the vertex of our angle. This is half line, which is called also ray. Angles are made out of two rays, so I'm going to draw the second one. Arrows over here show that this line actually goes to infinity, but the point over here shows that that's going to start here. So usually angles have two sides, 1 and 2. The bottom side is called initial side, and the top one is called terminal side. And usually we kind of go like this and call the angle positive if we measure it in this direction. And generally direction like this, which is counterclockwise, is going to be positive. And direction like this, which is clockwise, is going to be called negative. Okay, now let's talk about how people are measuring angles. There are two major ways to measure angles. Way number one is to use degrees. Well, you probably everyone's seen something like a protractor. Looks like this, right? You see the protractor have the long arc over here, which is half of a circle. And this half of a circle is divided into 180 small divisions. You see 1, 2, 3, there is 10 over here, 20, 30, and so far until we reach 180. So this half arc or half circle is making 180 degrees. And each degree is going to be like a little part of this circle. Well, if we draw a whole circle, we're going to have two 180 degrees pieces, which is going to make up 360 degrees. I'm going to draw this angle. The angle of 360 degrees is going to look like this. It's going to have just one side, which is going to be initial side and terminal side at the same time. And we are going to measure it starting here and ending here. So this is going to be 360 degrees angle. Why it's 360, not 370 or 400, which will be more convenient, or just 100 like we used to have? Well, the angles were measured mostly initially in astronomy. And in astronomy, people were observing how the sun is moving along the sky, and they were able to see that it's moving a little part every day. And because we have 365 days, which people did not know that time, so they decided, okay, the sun is moving one day, and we are going to call it 1 degree. So the sun is making 1 degree of its circle path around the Earth. And they did not know that everything is opposite actually. Okay, so that's why we have 360. That's why it's not 100. Okay, so now what other angles we can have? Well, we can have the protractor angle, which is going to start here and end up over here on the opposite line, and that's going to be like this. That's 1/2 of 360, or it's 180 degrees. Well, just 360 over 2 is 180. More angles. Well, if we keep dividing this angle, divide it in half again, we are going to have angle, which is going to look like this, and it's going to make 90 degrees. Well, again, 100 of 180. This angle is called right angle, and this angle is called straight angle. You write it down. Okay, do we have any other angles? Well, of course, we can kind of just think of a number, like for example, 45, and think, okay, 45 is half of 90 degrees. So 45 angle is going to make half of this one. So half is going to look approximately like this, and that's going to be 45 degrees. If we count angles opposite direction, like this one, clockwise, they're going to be just negative angles. I'm going to draw two angles, one positive, one negative, so you can see how we draw the angles. Well, I'm going to draw angle 45 degrees, and that's going to be a positive angle, 45 degrees. And I'm going to draw one negative angle. Negative angle is going to be minus 90 degrees. What else? Well, since long time ago, people realized that degrees is not fine enough to measure smaller angles. And they divided degrees in subdivisions. And the subdivisions are minutes and seconds. Exactly like an hour, right? 1 hour is divided into 60 minutes. Minutes are going to be this little mark around like the number. These are degrees mark. This is minutes. And 1 minute is going to be divided into 60 seconds. So actually, we can see very, very small angles using, or we can measure precisely angles using these smaller divisions. And that's how people were doing this. You see that everything is on the base of 60. Well, again, all this angle stuff comes from Babylonian people. They like number 60 a lot. Okay, so now our major question is how to kind of convert angles from degrees, minutes, and seconds into like our decimal view of just degrees. Or if somebody gives us decimal view of just degrees, how to convert them in minutes and seconds. Okay, so that's what we are going to learn today. Let's start with something simple, two simple examples. Let's consider angle 15 degrees and 30 minutes. Well, if you want to write it down total in degrees, what is going to be? Well, you know that 15 degrees is already 15 degrees, so we are going to just copy it. What is 30 minutes? Well, you know that 1 degree is 60 minutes. So 30 minutes is half of the degree. So we're going to just put point over here and put 5 here, and that's going to be how it looks in degrees. Opposite. Imagine that we have angle which is written in degrees, and we want to convert it in minutes. For example, 20.25 degrees. Well, as we see, amount of degrees here is 20. We are just going to copy it. We're not going to do anything. And we have 25 hundredths of a degree. You know that 0.25 is 1/4 or 1/4 of a whole thing, right? So what is 1/4 of 1 degree? 1 degree is 60 minutes. 1/4 of 1 degree, we take 60 divided over 4. We are going to get 15. So it's 15 minutes. Well, if we have something simple like this, we can just kind of figure it out without using math, right? But if something more complicated happens, for example, if somebody wants to convert angle like this, it's going to be example number 2. That was example number 1. Let's make it example number 1. That's example number 2. Imagine that somebody wants to convert 50 degrees, 6 minutes, and 21 seconds in degrees. So what should we do? First, we start with dividing all this stuff separately. 50 degrees, 6 minutes, 21 seconds. Now we are just going to write down how big is in degrees 1 minute. From this formula, because there are 60 of them in 1 degree, so 1 minute is 1/60. 1/60 degree is 1 minute. 1 minute, on the other hand, from this, is going to be 1/60th 1 second is going to be 1/60th of 1 minute. Or if we kind of go back over here and go back over here, that's going to be 1/60 and 60 of a degree. So 1 second into 1 minute, it's 1/60, and 1 minute into degree is 1/60 one more time. So we're going to have this. So now what we're going to do, we're going to consider this as 1 minute and multiply by this coefficient, which is part of the degree. So it's going to be 50 degrees plus 6 minutes. Minutes is 1/60. Well, I would write down the sign of degrees, plus 21, and in degrees, it's going to be what? 1/60 multiplied by 60, it's 3,600. And I'm going to put degrees as well. Now we just calculate all this stuff. Remember that 50 is always going to stay as 50, but whatever happens here and here is going to give us a smaller measures. I took my calculator and I just kind of took 21 divided over 3,600, and then added 6/60, which is 0.1, and my final result looks like this. It's 1,058 degrees. That's approximate result. Sometimes you start doing division and it never ends. Well, usually I'm going to tell you how many digits to keep. Here I'm keeping 4 digits, but can be less or more. Again, this one is 1 minute, and this one is 1 second in degrees. Okay? So now, guys, I'm going to usually do this in my lectures. I'm going to ask you to solve a problem by yourself, which means that I'm writing down the problem self, and problem is just a simple problem similar to what we did already. 15 degrees, 25 minutes, and 10 seconds. Can you convert it on your own? Because you are watching a video. At this moment, you can stop your video and try to do the problem on your own. See what you don't understand while you are doing it, or if you understand everything, that's great. And I'm going to provide you solution in 3 seconds, which is going to be correct solution. So you always can compare your solution and correct solution. So now you can stop your video. I'm going to count to 3 and continue with solution. And you can just restart it when you are done with solution. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Now solution. Well, we have 15 degrees. I'm going to just copy them, right? And then I'm going to have 25 multiplied by 1/60 plus 10 multiplied by 1/3,600. Exactly the same way I was doing before. And just take out my calculator and add everything. I'm going to show my steps. That's 15, which I copy, plus 0.4167, which is the result of this division, and plus, sorry, it doesn't fit into the line, 0.12278. All these numbers are in degrees already. This is a result of this division. Well, because it's like 10 divided by 3,600, that's going to be, of course, much smaller. Now I'm just going to take calculator and add all 3 numbers. Of course, I'm still going to have 15. And after decimal point, I'm going to have 4, 1, and 95. Again, what I'm doing, I rounded up this number because it was actually 6666, and I rounded up this number too. I got 4 digits after decimal point. Again, usually if I need more digits or less digits, I'm going to tell you. Okay? So that's how we solve problems like this. Now we're going to learn how to go in opposite direction. Opposite direction means that somebody gives us degrees and we want to see how many minutes and seconds it's going to be. Let me write it down. So degrees to minutes and seconds. Okay. For example, what's going to be example 3, right? I'm going to have 21.5 256 degrees. How do we convert it? Well, we're going to do some steps here. It's not going to be like one line like in a previous problem. We're going to have some steps. So first, I'm going to copy the degrees and I'm going to stop writing down degrees. Now I'll need to know minutes. What I'm going to do is minutes. I'm going to take this 0.256, which is like the decimal part of the number, and multiply it by 60. Because this is a part of 1 degree, and 1 degree has 60 minutes. So I'm going to multiply it by 60 to find how many minutes I have. How many minutes is this number? Well, because it's 256, I expected like a 15 minutes or like more, because it's quarter, a little bit more than quarter, right? We know that quarter is 15 minutes already from previous one. 25 is going to be like 15 minutes, but it's going to be a little bit more because of this 6. So let's see what I'm going to get after multiplication. I take a calculator, multiply it, and get 1536. So now I do know what is this number in minutes, and in minutes it's 15 minutes and a little bit more. What I want to do, I want to get this a little bit more into seconds, because it's already not making a whole minute, but maybe it's going to make some whole seconds. So I'm going to write down it's 15 minutes plus 0.36. And because it's a part of a minute now, I know that in 1 minute, we do have 60 seconds. I'm going to multiply it by 60 again, about 60 seconds. And that's going to give me a number of seconds. Well, I'm actually getting something like this. I'm copying 15 minutes, and I'm going to get 21.6 seconds. Well, I don't want to have like 0.0 seconds, so I'm going to round it up to the whole amount of seconds. So my final answer is going to be 21 degrees, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. I round up this one to approximately 22 seconds. Okay? Well, if we need to have more precision, you always can keep decimal digits. Okay? Now, what I want you to do, try next problem yourself. So self problem, and I'm counting to 3 to give you a chance to solve it on your own. So 40.325 degrees. Convert it into degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay? And I'm counting to 3 and providing solution. 1, 2, 3. So now solution. Well, I know that 40 is going to stay 40, so I'm not going to deal with it yet. I'm going to deal with 0.325, and I'm going to multiply it by 60 to find like how many minutes, because it's like around maybe 1/3 of a degree. And if I do this, I'm going to find out that number is 19.5. So it's 19.5 minutes. Well, here I'm lucky, right? Why I'm lucky? You see, what is half of a minute? I know that 1 minute is 60 seconds. Half of a minute, which is 0.5, is supposed to be 30 seconds. So I get seconds right away. It's 19 minutes and 30 seconds. So my final answer for this problem is 40 degrees, 19 minutes, and 30 seconds. I was lucky. Generally speaking, I would suppose to multiply the 0.5 by 60 again and get number of seconds. But because it was easy to guess, I did guess. Okay, let's make a little stop before we move to representation of angles in radians. I'm going to stop my video, and you can do stop and try to do some homework problems or